So far I've demonstrated a lot of Edwards guitars on this channel, but none of them as rare as this one. Behold, specially made for the Japanese market, the beautiful Explorer Standard in antique natural finish. This guitar belongs to a friend that also owns a couple of James Hetfield's signature guitars like the LTD Grinch, like the ESP Snakebite. He has a couple of other Edwards Explorers as well that I've already demonstrated on the channel, and I'm gonna link them up. So what's the idea behind this one? Why buy another Explorer when he already has like 3 of them and Edwards by that? But why go through all the trouble ordering from Japan, paying the taxes, dealing with customs to get this one? Well, here's the thing, if you want this finish that looks similar to the Gibson Korina, and you will not be able to find an original Gibson Korina from the 50s for cheap, they go for crazy money. If you want a brand new Explorer with a natural finish, you're left with a couple of choices. Of course, minus all the cheap copies, you have something like a Hammer Natural Explorer, then you have the Epiphone. I'm of course talking about the Korina Explorer, which is a collaboration between Gibson and Epiphone and also comes in the Flying V shape. These are relatively expensive for an Epiphone, at least in Europe they cost around $1,500. They feature an aged natural finish, which is more of a satin feel, where the Edwards has this high gloss finish and it's a little bit reddish in color. The main difference is that the Edwards is made in Japan for the Japanese market, where the Epiphone is made in China. And my guy preferred the Japanese guitar. You can always go with the USA original, but as you can see the Gibson is almost twice the price at $2,500. Here we go, Ducky, let's get to work. Always slacking off this one, jeez. Not much to do, it's a brand new guitar. It has been gigged once, my guy used it once and you can see the damage from one gig. I'm gonna polish these metal surfaces, oil the fingerboard and polish the frets. As usual, I'm gonna use Music Nomad, fine fret polish for the frets and F1 fingerboard oil. I'm gonna go through the specs since they're not listed online. So we got a 2-piece mahogany body, 1-piece mahogany neck, Indian rosewood fingerboard, 22 extra jumbo frets and the Edwards Legacy pickups. Pickups and pickguard out of the way, reveal the cavities, especially this one for the 3-way switch. Not much room here. If you want to do an active conversion, there's no room for a 9-volt battery. Not the cleanest job I've seen by Edwards, and I'm surprised because this is Japanese made, but it's okay. And here in the neck pickup cavity you can see the neck tenon, the neck joint. The cable for the bridge pickup is a bit short, but you can still see the separation line between the 2 pieces of mahogany for the body. So yeah, it is mahogany, a bit of unfair to compare it to the Korina series by Epiphone, but it's the closest. Here's a better look of the routing for the cables going from the pickups back to the electronics. The pickups are passive humbuckers with gold covers and they are the Edwards Legacy series. Designated ELH1N, Edwards Legacy Humbucker 1 Neck, ELH1B, which stands for Edwards Legacy Humbucker Bridge. Black slanted pickup rings for the flat body, short screws for the neck, long screws for the bridge. Here's what the triply pickguard looks like. This will also look good in black if you decide to swap it out. These Explorers usually feature an L-shaped 3-way switch because a regular one will not fit in the shallow cavity. Here are the screws for the pickguard. One of the most satisfying things when you buy a brand new Explorer like this is to remove the protective film over the pickguard. The easiest way to do this is to take it off the guitar and remove the L-shaped 3-way switch, and this is a good opportunity for me to show it to you. Control scheme: a 3-way pickup switch, neck volume, bridge volume, yep, that's the bridge volume, and a master tone. Checking out the Legacy series pickup, and with the bridge pickup selected, it reads 17.36k ohms. Honestly, I did not expect it to be this hot because it doesn't feel hot. Maybe it's not the Onico 5, I have to further investigate the Legacy series. It's certainly not tight and doesn't have that much gain. Switching over to the neck, 722, this is more of a PAF territory. The middle position reads 509. What's the bridge and tailpiece situation? For the bridge, we have the TABR1, individual saddles held in place by a spring. And that's not the ABR that you've seen on old Gibson guitars. That's why it's the TABR, because it has metal inserts for the body. The Edwards came with Elixir strings, which are good. I'm gonna try and save them. The bridge is Goto, made in Japan. Not much to say about the body other than I don't see any defects. Nicely rounded off edges, separation line, one piece here, and onto the neck, I guess. Indian rosewood fingerboard, I don't see any flaws on that. Acrylic dot inlays. The fret job is good, with a couple of exceptions around the last frets, as you can see them here especially. Everything is acceptable, but again I'm surprised that the old Japanese made guitar is not better than the one that is made in China. Not complaining, just saying. The nut seems to be fine, some sort of composite material, doesn't look like Graphtec, but similar. The headstock features a black veneer and it's a copy of the Gibson headstock, but remember, Edwards doesn't have to obey the law in Japan. Gibson doesn't hold the patent for the Japanese market. 6 inline deluxe tuners, which are pretty interesting, and the Edwards mother of pearl logo. I love the truss rod cavities on Edwards and ESP guitars because they're nice and wide like this. The truss rod nut is adjusted by a 4mm Allen wrench like this. Come on, there we go. This truss rod cover is identical to my ESP Iron Cross, 2-ply, black and white, 1 screw, and the attention to detail. Look how sloped it is. Once you align it with a nut like that, it's perfect. The nut is 43.6mm wide or 1.71 inch. The 12th fret is at 53.3mm or 2.09 inches. The first fret is at 22.5mm or 0.88 thick. The 12th fret is 23.6mm or 0.92 thick. The thickest spot of the body that I could find is 40.4mm or 1.60 inch, and it varies around different spots. Pickup spacing is similar to a Les Paul, around 2.32 inches. Les Paul users like me feel just like home with a 12-inch radius for the fingerboard. A nicely rounded off C-shaped neck profile, similar to a Gibson Les Paul standard, I guess. Here's what the back of the guitar looks like, the separation line between the two pieces of mahogany again. Not much going on around here, nicely selected wood though, beautiful high gloss poly finish. That's another difference with the Gibson version. The Gibson has a nitrocellulose lacquered, a rectangular plate for the output jack, and I've replaced the original strap buttons with Shure. If you want to know the exact model, let me show you the box. I got these. They were an easy mount and I did it on the spot with an Allen wrench. The other Shure strap button is up here. I like the way it's mounted. I don't like when they're mounted back here. First of all, I prefer the balance like this, and I don't like mounting the other part of the mechanism on the strap facing my body because it's uncomfortable. Anyway, here's the electronics compartment, which has shooting paint inside and interesting ESP branded CTS 500K pods. 2 of them control the volume and the last one controls the tone. Has a 223J capacitor on it. One thing that you gotta keep in mind, this is a tight fit. You're not gonna be able to fit a 9-volt battery, so an active pickup conversion would be hard on this one. Here's the cover for the electronics. I have to remove the protective film on it. Shielding foil on the back side of it. I prefer the Edwards neck joint over the Gibson one that you see on the left. It's much more flush to the body and comfortable to the feel. One piece neck all the way to here, and this is a separate glued wing. Also, unlike the Gibson, it features a volute, which I always prefer. The neck is nice and chunky, but not too thick. It's nice to the touch and has a high gloss finish like the body. Back of the headstock has the serial number ED92233, a cool number, and the inline 6 tuners, which are pretty interesting. I've never seen these, at least not on Edwards anyway. Here's the case. 1, 2, 3 latches. This one locks, a plastic handle with a chrome trim. What's interesting is this is a navigator case produced by ESP. Plastic support legs here and the back hinges, 3 of them. Here's what the underside of the case looks like. Here's what the inside of the case looks like. Has this grayish bluish lining, perfectly shaped for the body of the Explorer. Some support for the back, a cutaway for the strap buttons. This portion presses against the strings so the guitar doesn't rattle inside. And here's a small compartment for accessories. In here we have the label for the Elixir coated strings that this guitar came with, and an Allen wrench for the truss rod. The key for the case as well. I'd say that this guitar is nicely balanced and pretty lightweight for what it is, at around 3281 grams or 723 pounds. And it's identical to my table. Almost. So what's the purpose of the standard Explorer in antique natural finish by Edwards? Well, it's sort of a middle ground between the Epiphone Korina and the original Gibson antique natural. It's not meant to be a direct competitor since it's not for sale in Europe or in USA. As far as I know, it's made for the Japanese market. But if you don't want to pay $2,500 or a bit less for the Gibson and you don't want a Chinese made Explorer, the Epiphone, you have this. You have the Edwards Natural Antique Standard. And honestly, I support my friend's decision because this Edwards is close to the Gibson quality and in my opinion certainly better than the Epiphone. It ended up costing a bit more than the Epiphone though, at around $1,800 with all the taxes and delivery expenses. I had the pleasure of reviewing and owning a couple of these, the 80s versions of the Explorer, and if I have to be again 100% honest, I'm yet to be disappointed by Edwards. I just haven't seen a bad guitar made by them. The Les Pauls are good, the Explorers are good, the Flying V's are good. I cannot say that this Edwards has any collector's value or anything like that. Maybe the Chinese Epiphone Korina has a better collector's value, but this one, as a player's guitar, as a guitar that's meant to be played on stage, is a perfect choice. As a player's guitar, this is a great value. I would swap out the pickups maybe though, because they're a bit too soft for my taste. Thanks for watching and see you soon.